This is Oba Babatunde from SWAT, and you're listening to Rave It Up. Why's it taking you so long to get to us?
Hey guys, it's Lauren Yates from Rave It Up here, and today we're going to be having a chat over Zoom with actor, writer, director, producer, and former model Emily Rule. What can't she do, right? That was a huge list. We have a talk to her today about her first short film, Blue Moon, and her current project, a series called 13th Stepping. We also dive into her past and talk about her modeling career and her relationship with herself and her body, and always striving for perfection. There's so much to cover today, so let's get into it now.
Before we get into today's interview, we would like to give a shout out to our Patreons, Irene, Bev, and Michael. If you haven't heard of Patreon before, it is a great way to support us and keep us running and improving. You pick a membership tier that suits you and your budget per month, and in return for supporting us, we'll give you behind-the-scenes content and free stuff. You don't have to give much either. You can be a part of our Patreons for as little as $4 a month. Just visit patreon.com/raveitup. You can even donate through PayPal if you don't trust other sites. You can do so just through our email, raveituptv@gmail.com. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. We appreciate anything you can do to support us. Now, let's get into this interview. Emily, welcome to Rave It Up. It is a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you going today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Now, since this is your first time on our show, we'd love to get to know you a little bit better and start from the beginning, if that's okay, to get a good idea of how you've made it to where you are today. So, for our audience, bit of her background. You're born in Texas and discovered by a modeling agent at like 13, then moved to Tokyo, then New York. Like, they're really big places compared to Texas. So how was that move? Was that like a big shock to your system?
Well, I think the good thing about being 13 is you don't really have a fear complex. You also don't have any idea of consequences. So it's actually the perfect time to move someplace where you know no one. I had also never been out of the country at 13. So that was my first time leaving the country. But I also knew, I love Texas and it's where I'm from, but I always knew that I wanted to leave from a very early age. So when I got that opportunity, I really jumped at it. And I think that I really think about my life in two stages, kind of before I went to Japan and after, because they very much are two separate chapters. I never really went back in the same capacity or for longer than really a month. But I think it was one of the greatest adventures I think I've ever had, and instilled a really incredible work ethic, and I got to see new places and see new people, and it really made me crave just different cultures and learning and traveling and all of the things. So
absolutely. And at such a young age too. That's an amazing way to, start going into teenagehood and adulthood.
I know, it's kind of crazy. I think I definitely thought I was already an adult, so I probably I definitely acted like it. Although I didn't know how to cook, I still don't. I still can really only use a microwave. But at the time, I remember living off of Skippy peanut butter and Starbucks because they were the only two things that I could recognize in a foreign country. Yeah. So yeah, it was funny, and doing schoolwork at night, and then after Japan, I decided to go back. It was my freshman year of high school, and I decided to go back and see if I wanted to live the normal high school life. And no one thought I was cool, and I didn't get asked to homecoming, and after that, which is the dance of the year that people are supposed to ask you, and no one asked me. And that's when I was like, screw this, I'm going back to New York. And I left, and I've never really been back for more than a weekend or two. So
yeah, at least you're popular in New York, right?
Thank God. Yeah, no one cared in high school, and she says. But I think that was good. I think kids that peak too early, nothing really happens to them. But it's the kids that never feel like they fit in, and I feel like you always feel like, for better or for worse, it might not be healthy, but you always feel like you have something to prove, which makes you work harder. So
yeah,
I think
true. Yeah. I was never popular in school either, and look at me now.
Yeah. I would have been your friend.
Exactly. That sounded very egotistical, I just realized, but it wasn't meant to be. But it's true, you look at all the nerds and stuff, they end up being, those cool kids' bosses in the future.
Yes, exactly. 1000%. Yeah.
Well, also acting is something you've always been passionate about as well, so it's inevitable that you got into it anyway. You even went to a musical theatre summer camp, which I thought was really cool when I did my research on you. So
When you
I
first
did.
got into modeling, did you ever think you'd actually go into acting later, like maybe use it as a bit of a stepping stone, or was that
No,
just
I mean,
kind
I was
of
also
all panned out for you anyway?
so like the scope, like I wasn't too much of like a forward thinker. But I honestly thought I was going to model for as long as I possibly could, and I wanted to have a cosmetic line, and I really wanted to be like the next Heidi Klum. So that was my goal. I never really thought I'd circle back, but then I think, come almost 10 years later, I'd kind of done a lot of what I think I could have done. I think my mental health had started to take a decline, and acting just kind of happened by accident. I was working out with my old trainer, and I wanted to get out of working out, so I was like, let's take a selfie. And my now manager happened to have seen that selfie because they had gone to high school together, and was like, who is this girl? Does she act? And I was like, I did in middle school, like, I was the zebra in Seussical the Musical, and I think I really, shined. But and so I met with him and I signed with him, and then like my second or third audition, I booked this movie that went to Sundance, directed by Drake Doremus, called Newness. And I was in it for like 5 minutes, but I made the most of that 5 minutes. And I got
Yes.
to hang out with Nicholas Holt, which was like worth every moment. But I think after booking something so quickly, I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. Like, I've got this. Like, this is going to be wonderful. And no, it was like such false expectations for what the acting industry really is. But I think that it was, as much of it was kind of like an identity crisis for me, switching from one career to another. It was the best thing that could have happened, and taught me to like be less fearful of any experience I was going through, really, because I could always turn it into art in some form, and use even the good and the bad memories as material. So yeah, it worked out. Everything's been a happy accident. So
Absolutely. Everything happens for a reason. It's like my favorite quote, and it's so true,
yeah,
especially in your
yeah.
life.
So far, fingers crossed. There's
Yeah,
still
so far, just touch wood.
I'm gonna find some wood.
Were there any other careers that you also wanted to pursue when you were younger? Is there any we
No,
might be surprised at?
I wanted to be a baby doctor and deliver babies, and then I realized how
Aw.
babies are born, and so then that crushed that idea. I was like, that's not gonna happen. And then I wanted to like be a trainer at SeaWorld, and then I think like Shamu ate someone, and so that really crushed that dream. So that was kind of it. And then I think musical theater happened when I was like 10 or 12. And I loved playing dress up and singing and dancing and that kind of team culture. I was never athletic, so this was my sport, so to speak. I was a terrible athlete. I would get like the participation. This was like the era of participation awards.
Me too.
But I would get, like, yeah, I would get like the sweetest player award, which means like you can't play. Then like I was just there for the outfits, really. So I think theater was like the thing that I felt like it was a place that I felt like I belonged. And that was, I think, the initial dream was to be on Broadway, and then modeling happened and my life took a whole other course. But who knows? I could have been delivering babies. Goodness. Yeah.
I know, but it's good with modeling and then musical theater, everything like that. It's all connected anyway within entertainment.
Yeah, in
So
some way. Yeah.
you can do it all, Emily.
Thanks. I try my hardest every day.
Well, it's great that you brought that story up as well about your trainer and taking a selfie with him,
Yeah.
because I was going to bring that up anyway. So with
Yeah.
posting a photo like that, do you think even with, you were talking about, and even in past interviews about how modeling and obviously it affected a bit of your self-esteem there because
Yeah.
it's all about the looks and selling perfection and things like that. Do you think it is, I would have thought a little bit similar even with acting, the guy sees your face and go, oh yeah, I need to get her to
Yeah,
audition.
no, I definitely think it's the first thing that anybody sees, right?
Mm.
I think that there is a distinct difference in the sense of like modeling, I was so aware of where the camera was at all times. And with acting, you have to dissolve that and not actually be aware of that. And I think with acting too, there's not the need to like be pretty all of the time, and like that the messy in life is like what actually makes good acting. So I
Yeah.
think in a sense acting is a lot freer. And I think that I was kind of a late bloomer. And so I think when it came to modeling, I never really felt like, as much success as I did have, like I never really felt like I was meant to be there, or I was like a part of that group in a way. I was still like that kind of like inner chubby kid. And I think with modeling, it's been interesting because I think all of the things that I thought were negatives about me, even past experiences or like, things that I was bad at, have now really become part of the craft in a sense. Like for 13 Stepping, which is the series that I'm developing, that was a short film, like I'm also in that, and I have to be very emotional a lot of times, and I have a list of emotional triggers, which are like really terrible things that have happened to me, but that will make me cry, and it's made me less scared of life, I think, and the ups and downs, because I know that I'll be able to use it in some beautiful form, whereas modeling was very kind of like one-dimensional, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Now, if like L'Oreal calls, I'll definitely pick up that phone call, but until then, I really enjoy what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I think you found your calling. Definitely, I agree. Is it true, because you brought up Netflix's newness? Did you actually? I read online that you booked that up, like your second audition. Is that true?
Yeah, it was like second or third. It was very soon. It was like very, very, very soon. And I auditioned for a role.
Had you done any acting training like before then as well, or kind of just had to dive in?
I mean, I was working with an acting coach who was like helping me with my auditions, but I hadn't gone to like a proper acting class.
That makes it more authentic, I think.
I think so too. I mean, it was interesting because like in this, I don't even think this is a spoiler, but like in the movie, I go on like a first date with Nicholas's character, and the director did something really brilliant where he didn't have us meet until that actual first moment. So I was genuinely nervous, and it was very authentic. And then he did this thing where we would do our dialogue, and then he would just keep rolling. So we would improv after that. And I kind of got myself a few more lines into the movie by doing that. But I didn't really have any training. I mean, I'd done commercials, and like I'd done like a promo for The Leftovers, like, but I really had no experience. But it was interesting because that day on set, like, it was just that magical moment when you think that like this is where I'm supposed to be, this is what I'm supposed to do, and it's so addicting, and like I have to do whatever it takes to get back here. And this moment right now is worth every no, every bit of rejection, every comparison, everything is like this moment. So it really kind of sparked that fire, and I still kind of chase that. So
yeah, well, that's good advice for all our listeners too. I was like, oh, I love that.
Yeah. But it wasn't that easy after that. It's like that. I peaked early.
You still have your bumps. We get it. Yep. It's just part of the road of entertainment.
Exactly.
So making out with Nicholas Hoult, like every girl's dream, right? Was that very awkward? Because that obviously it was the first day on set. Like, how do you even go through something like that?
Yeah, that might have been the first or second day.
Yeah, I mean, like, hi, I'm Emily. Nice to meet you. Let's make out now.
I had rehearsed it a lot in my head, I think. And I remember like we were doing it, and like each take, like, 'cause everybody was so excited for me that each take I would like dedicate to hair and makeup. I'd be like, this one's for the crew. And I remember like the last take, I was like, can I just have one more take? It wasn't awkward. I mean, you do have a sound crew and a camera crew, and 10 people staring at you, but I think my character was also inebriated, so there was a sense of kind of blocking all of that out anyways. But he's also like not horrendous to look at, so it was quite fun. And I mean, now I've shot a sex scene that I've also directed, so that kind of seems like a piece of cake. But it wasn't awkward. Definitely wasn't awkward.
That's good.
Do it again, yeah. So if there's a sequel, call me.
Yeah, exactly. Give me another gig. Give me another good-looking guy. Give me Chris Hemsworth or something.
I know, yeah. That was also why. So I got to cast my own short film, which is a proof of concept for a show. And it was very fun casting the guy that I ended up having a sex scene with. That was wonderful. I know.
It's good that you get to pick the guy, right?
Oh my God, 1000%. And now we're like best friends, which is also fun and complicated. But yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is very nice.
Yeah.
So we were speaking about with modeling, selling that whole perfection, and I totally understand how you can start getting a really bad relationship with yourself and your body. And it's so great that now, acting kind of, as you've said in a previous interview, saved you because now you got a great relationship with you and your body. Do you have like any tips for our audience that might be having like struggles with that? What do you do to, I guess, find that self-love and that self-esteem?
I mean, I think it's an everyday, I don't want to say battle. I don't think that's right, but I think it's an everyday process I think for me, I try not to deprive myself of anything. So like when it just comes to food in general and my relationship with food, which has always kind of been complicated since childhood, and modeling definitely didn't help that. But like if I want to have something, I'll have a little bit of it, because I feel like if I deprive myself, then it makes you want to kind of binge or go in the opposite direction. So I think just finding balance with that, and I think exercising in general, just as a way to think of keeping yourself fit and healthy, is really important.
Yeah.
I also, I don't really like taking photos anymore, actually, funny enough, unless it's like for an event or for something specific. But I try to stay off of social media as much as I can. I mean, I post stuff for work. I don't know. I think just realizing that like life is short, and my mom always says that those who mind won't matter and those who matter don't mind. And so I think it's something like that, and like finding a partner that loves you for who you are, and finding friends that love you regardless, and realizing that like nobody's perfect, and that trying to reach that is almost like a trauma response. Like perfection is a trauma response. Yeah. So I think just trying to be at peace at where you are, and where at least I am now. And instead of trying to reach for perfection, I just try to be like as healthy as I possibly can be with myself, with the things that I'm putting in my body, with the things that I'm taking in as far as like media is concerned, or books, or like, there was something on Instagram, speaking of which, that I saw that was like, your diet isn't just what you eat, it's like everything that you consume, and you're the totality of the 5 people that you're closest to. And so I really took that to heart, and I definitely curated the people I spend time with. And I think that all has to do with it. I think it's a very holistic approach, but I feel like that's my spiel. I don't know if that helps at all, but
I couldn't have said it better myself, Emily. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
Well, I had a look at your Instagram too, because I love that you never wanted people to feel bad about themselves from looking at your Instagram and things, and that's why you post a lot of, I want to say, artistic things. Like, it's really nice to see. It's refreshing. And you have over 237,000 followers on Instagram. Does that ever get daunting? Is that a huge weight on your shoulders to try and be a good role model for, young girls?
I mean, that's an interesting thing. I feel like trying to be a good role model for younger girls is a lot of pressure. I think, if anything, I try to be a good role model for like my younger self, if that makes sense, and making it a little bit personal, and trying to, be the like self. I don't know if there's a kind of this like thing in therapy of like self-parenting, right? So being like the person that you needed when you were a child. And I think I try to start there. I think when it comes to Instagram, none of it's real, and it's all like a projection of who we want to be on some level. And there's parts of me that like wishes that I could be the girl that like posted all the bikini shots and the influencer type, but I just can't bring myself to do it. And there are bikini shots on my Instagram. I will not, deny that, although that was several years ago. But I can't seem to find that taking a moment out of my day or do like taking time away from the things that I'm doing now, which is quite a lot. Like I produce and I'm directing and I have a merch company and all of these things, like that would be worth posting on social media. It's like, it doesn't seem to be worth interrupting my day, nor do I think that like people really care what I have for breakfast. Yes. Although I did just take a trip to New York, and I'd seen some like really cool street art, or like, something on the sidewalk, and I posted that, and I felt like very artistic for an afternoon.
Yeah, I love that.
Thanks. I don't know. Instagram's weird. I do this thing where like I delete it off of my phone and re-download it like every 48 hours, where I'm like, I'm not going to touch it. And then inevitably like I need to stalk someone, or now it's used as like, as networking, like for 13 Stepping, my show. Like I reached out to this artist whose music is in the proof of concept, and got a meeting with him, and now he's going to be the composer for the show. So it's also this interesting like, networking platform as well. I don't know. It's complicated. If anybody has figured it out, if you have any tips for me, I definitely take them. But
well, I think everybody uses it differently. Like I love the fact that I don't know if it was someone's quote, but it's very true that it's kind of like you're using social media as like your trailer. You wouldn't be putting up your blooper reel, like that sort of thing, because it is that sort of facade.
Oh, it's for sure a business card. That's 100% true. Yes.
Yeah, but I love the fact that you're using it as, connecting and, figuring out different partnerships you can do for your projects. That's amazing. Like, it just depends on the individual, how they use it, For me, I'm like...
I mean,
I just use it to post. I just like I don't have time to scroll through people's things now.
Finding graphic designers, finding like anything really. It's interesting that it's become that kind of platform, and I like to use it for that now. But
Absolutely. You really are taking, your life into your own hands and even creating your own jobs now. Because as you said, you're writing, directing, producing. I'm like, you go, girl. What can't you do? That's incredible. Congratulations.
I can't cook. We can add that to the list.
Yeah,
Thanks. I
can't
appreciate
cook, but your first project was your lovely short film Blue Moon. Everyone go check it out if you haven't already.
Yes.
Is it true that you used your college fund to make this? I guess you didn't really need the college fund, right?
I didn't know. I think that literally was like going to film school. I learned so much. I did. I had gotten into business school when I was like 18 and decided not to go, and that I wanted to act. And so it was just kind of sitting there. And then during COVID, I had a lot of time on my hands, as we all do. And I was really interested in taking my life in my own hands. I was tired of waiting for somebody to pick me. Yeah. And as much as I love my agents and managers, most of my adult life had been determined by that, by other people's decisions. And I was really tired of that. So I had an idea to do something. I didn't really know what. And then I went on like 3 dates with this guy. And I was like, holy crap, this is what people make movies about. And it just was really magical. And then on like the 4th date, he friend zoned me. But it was this like a very much a fantasy kind of snow globe experience. And so I kind of combined the 3 of those experiences into Blue Moon. And then my best friend just started seeing women and was telling me about her experiences and how she felt underrepresented. And so it was important to me to honor her on that too, which is how Blue Moon became a queer love story. And I incorporate a lot of her experiences. And then I first really fell in love in LA and in East LA, specifically in Silver Lake. So I wanted to really showcase that part of the city. And like we passed by this restaurant called Pache's in Laurel Canyon, which is one of my favorites that I've gone on many a first date at. And we overlook Mulholland. Where in reality, the date that I went on was in Malibu, but it was also in an old car. And then small world or serendipitously enough, Mr. Blue Moon, as I call him, is also in my other short film, and is my graphic designer and my friend and in my life in another capacity. So
that's funny how it happens.
It does, and it's funny now because I love him so much as a friend. But it's interesting how like you can fantasize and idealize somebody when you don't know them. And he was like my teenage dream, and now I'm like, oh, I think I'm glad I'm not dating you. Like I love you as a friend, but yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, so
meant to be the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it true that it was originally going to be called Little Spoon?
Why
Little Spoon?
Yeah. Because initially, like, I was going to shoot this on my iPhone, and it was going to be like 3 minutes, and it was just going to be the sex scene. And we were going to explore like 2 women in a given night, and kind of, in a straight relationship, the gender roles are very clearly defined, but in a queer one, like it's fluid. And so we were interested in seeing like what happens with 2 women in one night, and Little Spoon just felt really cute. And that was going to be it. And then I went on these dates and was like, ooh, here's something. We should expand this. And what did these people do on either end? And so that's how it then turned into Blue Moon. And I think I came up with the like catchphrase first, which is, if you believe in magic, once in a blue moon, you might just find it, which is how my experience with Mr. Blue Moon felt, that it was like this blue moon experience that comes along every once in a while, but when you capture it, it's really special. And that whatever I felt with him then is just as genuine and as real as like love that I've experienced with somebody over the course of a year or two, and he honestly has changed. I probably would have done something creatively, but like I definitely wouldn't be here talking to you if I had not met this person. And there's something really special about that. And so I think I wanted to honor those people that come into our lives and happen to change the course of our lives, even, very briefly. But I still have this like hope. We're right now, we're in the midst of negotiating with a lovely writer to turn Blue Moon into a feature-length film.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Yes, I'm very excited. We're like so close to closing the deal. It's been like 2 months of legal negotiations, but she's amazing. And She's just wonderful. But the idea is to do like a trilogy. So we'll do Blue Moon, which is the lesbian love story, and Little Spoon, which is the straight version, and like put it in New York, and then See You Soon, which is the gay version, and like put it in Dallas or somewhere else. And because all these are like parts of my life, and I want to represent like, you know, all three aspects. And I think that a trilogy, almost like a before sunrise situation, that's the long-term goal. Right now we're just trying to close the deal on Blue Moon. But
congratulations.
yeah.
And you're
Yeah,
obviously working on 13th Stepping, as you mentioned a few
Yeah.
times in the
Yeah,
interview,
yeah.
and you know, a lot sexier and provocative, and
It is,
even
yeah.
spookier. Does that mean you're kind of like dipping your toe into a bit of thriller now, or
Kind of a
horror?
little bit. I mean, the tone is definitely a lot darker. It's much more sex, drugs, and rehab. But it's kind of closer to my personal aesthetic, which is like, as you can see, like lots of blacks and reds. And I very much was obsessed with Kate Moss growing up, and grungy kind of 90s New York. Like Pieces of April was a reference for the for kind of the tone of the short. But it really deals, I mean, it's not entirely a memoir, but I would say the character is like 60% based on who I was as a teenager, my late teens, and my relationship to substances and kind of my attitude towards life. And it's been a really cathartic experience for me. A lot of my past trauma we've now somehow molded into the short, and then now working on, you know, we just finished the deck and the season 1 overview, and working out the season. So it's been really cool. It's been really heavy. It's been really intense. I think shooting it, because I also directed it at the same time, which is really interesting. And the way in which I did that was that I have this amazing acting coach who's at Nancy Banks' studio. Her name is Lena Jorgis. And Lena, who's like also like a soulmate of mine, I truly believe, and I feel so safe with. And she would watch the monitor while I was acting, and she would give me direction or let me know if we had something, like if I was also in scene with the other actors. So that's how that worked. But there was a lot of moments of needing to like think about really terrible experiences that I had gone through in order to get myself to a certain place emotionally. We shot a scene on a rooftop, and it was like 20 degrees with a windshield, and I was wearing close to nothing, and I was also harnessed to the roof so that way I wouldn't fall off, and
Wow.
my fingers were so cold that like I couldn't light my own cigarette, that like a PA had to do it. And she and I would just like huddle in the door frame that was leading up to the roof, and I would just tell her to like make me cry, and she knew the list of things that would make me cry, and I had to be in that place for like half an hour or however long. And so I think it was relatively emotionally exhausting, which is why I think moving forward, when we do shoot the show, like I want to have a therapist on set. I think that that's really important, regardless of like subject matter, because for me, like, especially because this character isn't me, but is some iteration of who I was at some point, and deals with a lot of things that I did experience, it's hard to separate myself from the character. And I almost didn't want to, because I think it made it better. Like I could separate Emily the actor, Emily the director very easily, but myself and the character it was really tricky. And it actually, like, we shot for 3 days and we did it one day of pickups, but like it took me almost like a couple weeks to like get out of that emotional place. I feel like I'm off on a tangent and I don't know how to circle back, but 13 Stepping is a lot sexier. It's a lot edgier. And it's much more provocative for sure. And it's the thing that to me makes like all of the trauma I've ever experienced like mean something, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
And so that's been really, really beautiful. And I think, you know, having a show about addiction and sobriety and all of those things, I just hope that like in some way it either helps someone or it destigmatizes the idea of addiction or what an addict looks like, or, you know, I think it will be bigger than me. That's the hope. So yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. I can see why it would be like therapy for you.
It was like exposure therapy. Yes. Yeah, it's like exposure therapy. And I love it. And I mean, we work on it right now. We're in the process of finding someone to co-write it with me. But I basically have, you know, I have the entire first season figured out, and it'll be seasonally anthological. So each season will have 13 new characters in a different place. There's also an idea for like an Al-Anon spinoff. There's a whole kind of 13 stepping universe. But I'm excited to play Lily for a season. I just want like one Emmy, and then I'll just like flip out.
You'll get there. I think I truly believe it. And I'm guessing it's called 13 Stepping because there's 13 people, or
I was 13 stepping. So 13 is also my lucky number, and I was born on the 13th. And then 13
wow.
stepping is a term in Alcoholics Anonymous, and it basically refers to like sleeping with somebody else in the program, specifically sleeping with a newcomer, but I've heard it used in general as just like sleeping with somebody in the program. And I also think that it's kind of cheeky and has a nice ring to it, and the URL was open, and the Instagram handle was open, and the number 13 was so meaningful to me. And then so we did 13 stepping, and then we have 13 characters. My character is the anchor character, but it is an ensemble cast, kind of like a la Orange is the New Black. So each episode will explore a little bit about one of the cast members and how did they get there, but also my character Lily. It's her story, and she breaks the fourth wall, and there'll be 13 episodes, and each episode, aside from the pilot, will be loosely based on one of the 12 steps. And then there's great kind of story arcs and these storylines. And yeah, it's kind of like what would happen if the cast of Euphoria grew up and decided to get sober.
Yes. What an amazing project. Good luck with it all. Do we know around when it's going to be released?
I mean, so this is probably what's going to happen. It's going to take about 2 months right now to find the writer, because that's like finding a needle in the haystack. You got to go through managers and agents and like finding the right person that vibes with me, and also has some experience in this topic. It's difficult. And then you go through, so about 2 months to find that person, and then about another 2 to 3 months of just like contract negotiations. And then probably another 2 to 3 months of just like actually writing the freaking pilot and the treatment for the first season. And the treatment being like synopsises of each episode, so that way a studio knows like where are we going with this.
Yeah.
And then it could take anywhere from like 3 months to like a year to even sell it, which I hope isn't going to happen. And then you have however many months of pre-production. So my goal is in a year and a half where we're in pre-production. Because I also don't want to like age out of the character. So we've got pedal to the metal on this for sure, but it is a process.
Well, you're just going to have to come back on the show, okay? Because I want to hear more about it when it's out.
And I'll bring the rest of the cast for sure.
Oh, yes. Woo! That would be so much fun. So you've already achieved so much in your career, Emily, like, you know, from modeling to acting, now directing, writing, everything, and even owning your own production company, I see. That's another incredible feat. Woo! What can we expect from you in the future? Do you think you'll be focusing more on this writing and directing path, or is there going to be a bit more acting too? Or even, I had a little, you know, you did write the theme song, co-wrote the theme song.
I did, yeah.
I was like,
no, I'd love
writing in your future.
Yeah, I mean, so the artist that has signed on to be a composer for 13 Stepping, I'd love to collaborate with him, a la Zendaya and Labyrinth. I think for me, so we have Public School Pictures. So right now we're developing Blue Moon to be a feature, 13 Stepping to be a show. There's a few projects I have on option that I want to develop. I have a little bit of an accelerator fund where I put like finishing funds into other projects and executive produce them. I want to start directing like commercial content, music videos. We have, right now we're in the midst of having our merchandise manufactured. So there's also this kind of like, it's almost like I'm running a clothing company as well, which I had no idea how to do 3 months ago, but now we have it. And hopefully within 90 days, we'll have like Letterman jackets and lunch boxes. It's called Public School Pictures. So all of the merchandise is kind of school themed. So we have binders and backpacks and Letterman jackets and tennis skirts and blankets and all of these cute things. So there's that. I am going to start, I kind of took a break from auditioning the last year and a half because I was doing all this, but I'm getting back into that. So I would love to be in other people's things as well. I mean, it's a little bit of everything. We were having a meeting today with a writer whose script I want to option and turn into a feature. And as we were talking, my head kind of started spinning. I was like, oh my God, like my life is about to get even busier.
How do you have time?
I know. I think it's like time blocking. It's like hour blocking where I get an hour, you know, with like my head analyst who's in charge of reach out, and then an hour with my head of development, and then an hour with my assistant, and then an hour with the graphic designer. There's this hopefully, I think time blocking might save my life, but TBD. TBD.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, keep us in the loop, all right? Because I could just see huge things happening for you, Emily. Woo! Girl power.
So much.
You're welcome. Well, before we finish up today, would you like to play a game with me? We've got a legendary game here on Rave It
I
Up.
would love
That
to
would
play
be
a game with you.
great to have you play as well. So it's called the 2-minute hot seat, and it's very easy. Just a question answer game. So
Okay.
all I do is I ask you various questions, and you just have to pick your preference. So dogs or
Okay.
cats, singing or
Easy.
dancing, easy peasy.
Okay.
And there's a competitive element. So at the end, you've got to answer as many questions in 2 minutes as possible. And there's a leaderboard. So at the end, I'll see where you sit
Great.
amongst everyone
Okay.
else who's played the game on the
Okay,
show.
wonderful. Okay, great. I'm very
All
competitive.
right. So, and
Great.
because it's over Zoom, like I give you 2 minutes 15 with the Zoom interviews just to make it fair.
Right.
Otherwise, like 153 people played this over like 12 years. So a lot of people.
Okay.
But like top of Zoom interviews, let me have a look, is 57 questions. So we gotta get you up to 57, yeah?
I'm ready.
All right. Let me just change the view so I can see us both. Okay. And my stopwatch. All right. Are you ready,
Oh,
Emily?
Yeah, no, I'm ready.
All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram,
iPhone or Samsung?
iPhone,
Apple or Android?
Apple,
Rap or rock music?
rock,
Rock or pop?
pop,
Pop or country?
country,
Beach or mountains?
mountains,
Beach or pool?
beach,
Sun or rain?
rain,
Skiing or snowboarding?
skiing,
Comedy or action?
comedy,
Blondes or brunettes?
bonds,
Sweet or salty?
sweet,
Sunglasses or hat?
sunglasses,
SUV or convertible?
SUV,
Mac or PC?
Mac,
PlayStation or Wii?
we,
Clean or messy?
clean,
Singing or dancing?
singing,
Dogs or cats?
dogs,
Italian or Chinese food?
Italian,
Summer or winter?
winter,
Kim Kardashian or Scarlett Johansson?
Scarlett Johansson,
Mall or online shopping?
online shopping,
Cinema or home movie?
home movie,
Ice cream or gelato?
ice cream,
Cake or cookies?
cake,
Cookies or cookie dough?
cookie dough,
Family or friends?
both,
Christmas or your birthday?
Christmas,
Night or day?
night,
Bus or train?
train,
Straight or curly hair?
curly,
Eye color blue or brown?
blue,
Vampire or werewolf?
vampire,
Texting or calling?
calling,
Los Angeles or New York?
New York,
Friday or Saturday?
Friday,
TV or movies?
TV,
Coffee or tea?
tea,
Snow or surf?
no,
Harry Potter or Twilight?
Harry Potter,
Family Guy or The Simpsons?
Family Guy,
McDonald's or Burger King?
Burger King,
French fries or chips?
French fries,
Burger or hot dog?
burger,
Guitar or drums?
guitar,
Leather or denim?
feather,
City or country?
city,
Biting your nails or picking your nose?
picking your nose,
Tattoos or piercings?
tattoos,
Backpack or suitcase?
backpack,
Pen or pencil?
pen,
Mum or dad?
mom,
Headphones or speakers?
headphones.
Yeah, we're out of time. Wow.
How many did I get? How many did I get?
How many questions do you think you answered?
Hopefully all of them. At least like 49.
I have heaps, so I don't think you'd ever get to the bottom of the list.
Okay.
So we said top of the Zoom leaderboard was 57 questions.
Yeah.
I've answered 56 questions.
Oh my God, I was so close. It was because I faltered on New York. I knew it. Yeah.
I think you're one of the only ones too that's been like, yeah, picking your nose.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we all do it, okay?
Exactly. I'd prefer to do that than bite my nails. So come on,
to
guys.
bite my nails, and now I'm a nose picker. I've grown up, okay? Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for playing that with me. So obviously you're sitting second on the Zoom Rave It Up leaderboard right now.
Oh,
And
you know what? I'll take it.
32 on the whole leaderboard, but that's just because
Okay.
of Zoom. But if you ever come to Australia, let me know, okay?
1,000%. 1 trillion percent.
Now, we are unfortunately getting to the end of the interview now, Emily, but as a closing statement, and what's probably the most important question on Rave It Up, a little bit more serious now. Knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
that the thing that you think makes you different and weird is actually what makes you special, and like explore that.
I love that. That is so good. Oh, what a great way to end the interview, right? Fantastic advice for all the young listeners too. Thank you so much. Oh, your
Sure.
advice has just been impeccable today. So thank
Okay,
you.
I have a really wonderful therapist, so we can thank her.
Thank you to the therapist.
Yes, thank you, Jane.
Before we go, if our audience want to follow you, see what you're up to in the future, where should we go follow you?
So my Instagram is at Emmeline Ruhl. That's spelled RUHL. And then my production company is called Public School Pictures. So on publicschoolpictures.com, you can watch Blue Moon. You can see the trailer for 13th Stepping. And you can also follow at Blue Moon the Short on Instagram and at 13th Stepping on Instagram. So.
Woo, fantastic. Easy enough to find you. I'm going to go follow all that now too for you. And
I'll follow you back.
Oh, thank you. I'll put all the links below this interview too for everyone to go follow you.
Great.
So quick link for them. But thank you so much for coming on the show today, Emily. It's been so much fun.
Thank you so much.
It's been like one big girl chat, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I've loved it. Thank you.
Well, as I said, you're welcome on any time, okay? So when 13th Stepping is out, I definitely want to hear all about it.
1000%.
Send me the link and I want to watch it all. I'm
No,
going to
no,
binge
no,
it.
no. I'll send you the link so you can watch the proof of concept at least, the short
Ooh.
film.
Yay!
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you my honest
Yeah, please
opinion,
do.
which I'm sure I will love because I loved Blue Moon. So
Amazing. Cool. Yeah, I'll send it.
fantastic. Keep in touch, Emily, and we'll chat soon.
Amazing. Thank you.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's interview. If you'd like to check out any of our other interviews, please visit our website, raveituptv.com. All of the podcasts and videos are there for you to enjoy. And while you're there, please check out our book, Knowing What I Know Now, as well as a mini ebook that I wrote last year called Staying Strong, Finding Inner Peace During Hard Times. And if you'd like to further support Rave It Up, please also visit patreon.com/raveit-up. You can pick a membership tier that works with you and your budget for as little as $4 a month. It's like a coffee, right, guys? But for now, thank you so much for watching today, and we'll see you next time. Bye!